I'm not averse to or inexperienced in solving puzzles. In fact, many mages believe that puzzles are a good way to keep the mind healthy. Solving them is also a sign of intelligence. The faster one can solve them, the more intelligent they are. Well, I don't find that to be true exactly, as I also find that the more exposed to a type of puzzle, the easier they are to grasp. If you encounter something new that requires you to stop and figure it out, then it will take longer, no matter how intelligent you are, than if you have solved many of its kind before, even for one of middling intelligence. I'm of the belief that methodically testing and seeing what you can do, in other words, grasping the basic rule of the puzzle, is the sharpest and best way to solve them. They are not something to be feared or shunned either. A good puzzle is a test for you, and I always look forward to completing them. Quite a few of the Aelid ruins have, or had, puzzles within them. Often they are deadly if not solved correctly. Over time, we've been left with fewer and fewer of them, so that we are fortunate if there are any left to find at all now. I did have one that I helped to solve within Macamantane, and yes, if you did not put in the correct symbol, it would drop you into a spike trap. Those aren't exactly the puzzles I like to try and solve, as those cannot be methodically tested, not unless you have several spare lives at your disposal. One needs to deduce the answer from what little you are given, and if you fail, you are dead. These Aelid puzzles would typically involve answers for those with an intimate knowledge of their culture, or more specifically that localized version of their culture. Yes, of those kinds of puzzles, I'd much prefer to avoid them, because there is so little left of Aelid culture, and there's a lot of gaps in our knowledge. As for my reward, well, I don't exactly feel that these quests given to me from the Knights of the Nine are for me or to add to my wealth. They are merely obstacles for me to achieve victory over an enemy, and this enemy isn't even the main enemy. It would be much more satisfying for me if it were against Maroon's Dagon, or even Hieronymus Lex. For me, it's a third enemy that must be taken down so I can then concentrate on the first two. So it's more like a chore, if you will. Don't get me wrong, I'll be satisfied in seeing Umarol the Unfeathered destroyed for good, but I don't enjoy the work to get there. Yes, my goals are lofty, and for someone who seeks to deny a god a conquered world, they bloody well better be. Found 40 more samples of Nirnroot. I should return to Sendarian in Skingrad so he can begin creating a grand version of the elixir of exploration from them. Yes, I suppose I should. Curious, what is this place over here? Out in the middle of nowhere, really.
I'm so happy for Wolfgang. He is such good company.
I hear another Nirnroot. Well, I might as well pick them all up. So I have 41. I saw some structure off between the trees. Oh. Maybe I was just seeing something wasn't there. Ow. Yes, I move very quickly in this armor. Part of it's the necklace that I'm wearing. And I've just grown accustomed to wearing heavy armor, I suppose. I am now considered an expert in it. There, this is what I saw. It's just a shrine to one of the gods. Excuse me. Ah, Debella. The goddess said I would like to meet. I think everybody says that for one reason or another. Love, beauty, and honor, its mysteries. Pray at my chapel altars to receive my blessings. And I gave her a silent prayer. It worked. Alright, so we have to leave. And I know our horses will be out here, but...
I think the Cyrodiil mud crabs are pathetic. You should see the ones we have in Morrowind. They are really scary.
You have scarier ones? I've seen them in Morrowind. They're like a beige, yellow, orangish color. They look different than the ones out here in Cyrodiil. And they're slow, really slow. But they're larger than the ones here, and they're more aggressive, too. Frostcrag Tower will take me where we need to go. So, we're going to go and spend a day in my place in Coral. What was it called? Arbor Watch. And from there, we'll take the Mages Guild transport to Skingrad. And after I see Sindarian...
Okay, you?
Then we can go to the, where the Knights of the Nine place is. What do they call it? It's not a chapel. I keep forgetting. It's got a name that isn't really used anymore. Priory, yeah. Well, there is a priory just nearby here. Waynan Priory. It's, it is used, I suppose, but it's very uncommon. Okay, you two relax.
I got a letter from Melinda.
Oh, you did?
She was so happy for the melting Daedra hearts. She slept with them under her pillow and dreamt about Tordar.
Tordar? Okay. So, is that it for now, then? You don't have to help her anymore? You want to relax here for a while?
Sure. You will stay here too, won't you?
Mm-hmm. Fergus?
Go ahead, friend. I'm all ears.
Before we continue...
Please, go on.
You can relax here for a while.
Fine. I'll be around here and rest for a while.
I should go and sell my items while it's still daylight. Yes, and then I will sleep until tomorrow morning.
If I can be of an assistance, I'd be happy to help.
How come ogres wear shoes and trousers? Doesn't that strike you as odd?
Now where did I put... I see.
It makes me so sad to see a guard horse wandering alone, and then see a dead guard in the road. It's upsetting.
What a pity.
Of course.
Well, it's a little dark in this room, even though I have windows here, so I'll read by candlelight. Wolfgang can keep me company. It's a fair-sized house, so everybody else can do their own thing whenever they want, but I like to have some private time right now. And before I go to bed... Well, I don't really have too many. I guess I could always read The Real Barenziah, Part 1. Oh, it's a fair-sized book. Okay. So it's a story. The Real Barenziah, Part 1, Anonymous. I wonder who wrote this book. If they have to put themselves anonymous, maybe their life was threatened. Or they feared it would be. 500 years ago in Moorhold, City of Gems. Well, that all depends on when this book was written now, doesn't it? There lived a blind widow and her only child, a tall, strapping young man. He was a miner, as was his father before him, a common laborer in the mines of the Lord of Mournhold, for his ability in magicka was small. The work was honorable, but paid poorly. His mother made and sold comberry cakes at the city market to help eke out their living. They did well enough, she said. They had enough to fill their bellies. No one could wear more than one suit of clothing at a time, and the roof leaked only when it rained. But Samachus would have liked more. He hoped for a lucky strike at the mines, which would garner him a large bonus. In his free hours, he enjoyed hoisting a mug of ale in the tavern with his friends and gambling with them at cards. He also drew the eyes and sighs of more than one pretty elven lass, although none held his interest for long. He was a typical young dark elf of peasant descent, remarkable only for his size. It was rumored that he had a bit of Nordic blood in him. In Symmachus's 30th year, there was a great rejoicing in Mournhold. A girl child had been born to the lord and lady, a queen, the people sang. A queen is born to us, for among the people of Mournhold, the birth of an heiress is a sure sign of future peace and prosperity. When the time came around for the royal child's rite of naming, the mines were closed, and Symmachus dashed home to bathe and dress in his best. "I'll rush straight home and tell you all about it," he promised his mother, who would not be able to attend. She had been ailing, And besides, there would be a great crush of people, as all Mournhold turned out to be part of the blessed event, and being blind, she would be unable to see anything anyway. "My son," she said, "afore you go, fetch me a priest or a healer, else I may pass from the mortal plane ere you return." Symmachus crossed to her pallet at once, and noted anxiously that her forehead was very hot and her breathing shallow. He pried loose a slat of the wooden floor, under which their small hoard of savings was kept. There wasn't nearly enough to pay a priest for healing. He would have to give what they had and owe the rest. Symmachus snatched up his cloak and hurried away. The streets were full of folk hurrying to the sacred grove, but the temples were locked and barred. "Closed for the ceremony," read all the signs. Symmachus elbowed his way through the mob and managed to overtake a brown-robed priest. "After the rite, brother," the priest said. "If you have gold, I shall gladly attend to your mother. My lord has bidden all clerics attend, and I, for one, have no wish to offend him." "My mother's desperately ill," Symmachus pled. "Surely my lord will not miss one lowly priest." "True, but the archcanon will," the priest said nervously, tearing his robe loose from Symmachus's desperate grip and vanishing into the crowd. Symmachus tried other priests and even a few mages, but with no better result. Armored guards marched through the street and pushed him aside with their lances, and Symmachus realized that the royal procession was approaching. As the carriage bearing the city's rulers drew abreast, Symmachus rushed out from the crowd and shouted, my lord, my mother's dying." "I forbid her to do so on this glorious night," the lord shouted, laughing and scattering coin into the throng. Symmachus was close enough to smell wine on the royal breath. On the other side of the carriage, his lady clutched the babe to her breast and stared slit-eyed at Symmachus. Her nostrils flared in disdain. "Guards," she cried, "remove this oaf." Rough hands seized Symmachus. He was beaten and left dazed by the side of the road. Symmachus's head aching, followed in the wake of the crowd and witnessed the rite of naming from the top of the hill. He could see the brown-robed clerics and blue-robed mages gathered near the highborn folk far below. Now, if this was 500 years ago, let's just say it was written today, but I'm sure this was written a few years back, this book, or these books, then it would have been before the Third Cyrodiilic Empire and Tiber Septim existed. It is the year 433, so 500 years ago would have been before Tiber Septim. And what did this say? Mages gathered near the highborn folk far below. Barenziah. The name came dimly to Symmachus' ears as the high priest lifted the swaddled babe and proffered her to the twin moons on either side of the horizon. Joan rising, Jode setting. Behold the lady Barenziah, born to the land of Mournhold. Grant her thy blessings and thy counsel, ye kind gods, that she may ever rule well over Mournhold, its ken and its weal, its kith and its ilk. Bless her, all the people intoned, along with their lord and lady, hands upraised. Only Symmachus stood silent, head bowed, knowing in his heart that his dear mother was gone. And in silence he swore a mighty oath, that he should be his lord's bane, and in vengeance for his mother's needless death, the child Barenziah he should have for his own bride, and that his mother's grandchildren should be born to rule over Mournhold. Well, that's quite the situation. That's pretty terrible. If your mother died because you were there, I would have stayed with her. If I would have ran back once I couldn't get a priest and stayed with her. After the ceremony, he watched impassively as the royal procession returned to the palace. He saw the priest to whom he'd first spoken. The man came gladly enough now in return for the gold Symmachus had, and a promise of more afterward. They found his mother dead. The priest sighed and tucked the pouch of gold coins away. "I'm sorry, brother. It's all right. You can forget the rest of the gold. There's aught I can do here, likely." "Give me back my money," Symmachus snarled. "You've done naught to earn it." He lifted his right arm threateningly. The priest backed away, about to utter a curse, but Symmachus struck him across the face before more than 3 words had left his mouth. He went down heavily, striking his head sharply on one of the stones that formed the fire pit. He died instantly. Symmachus snatched up the gold and fled the city. As he ran, he muttered one word over and over like a sorcerer's chant. "Barenziah," he said. "Barenziah, Barenziah." Barenziah stood on one of the balconies of the palace, I take it this is sometime later, staring down into the courtyard where soldiers milled, dazzling in their armor. Presently they formed into ordered ranks and cheered as her parents, the lord and lady, emerged from the palace, clad from head to toe in ebony armor, long purple-dyed fur cloaks flowing behind. Splendidly caparisoned, shining black horses were brought for them, and they mounted and rode to the courtyard gates, and turned to salute her. "Barenziah," they cried, "Barenziah, our beloved, farewell." The little girl blinked back tears and waved one hand bravely. Her favorite stuffed animal, a gray wolf cub she called Wuffen, clutched to her breast with the other. She had never been parted from her parents before and had no idea what it meant, save that there was war in the west, and the name Tiber Septim was on everyone's lips, spoken in hate and dread. Ah, so it's that time. "Barenziah," the soldiers cried, lifting their lances and swords and bows. Then her dear parents turned and rode away, knights trailing in their wake, until the courtyard was nearly emptied. Sometime after came a day when Barenziah was shaken awake by her nurse, dressed hurriedly, and borne from the palace. All she could remember of that dreadful time was seeing a huge shadow with burning eyes filling the sky. She was passed from hand to hand. Foreign soldiers appeared, disappeared, and sometimes reappeared. Her nurse vanished and was replaced by strangers, some more strange than others. There were days, or it may have been weeks, of travel. One morning she awoke to step out of the coach into a cold place with a large grey stone castle amid empty, endless grey-green hills, covered patchily with grey-white snow. She clutched Wuffen to her breast and... it's Wuffen. Wuffen or Wuffen? To her breast in both hands and stood, blinking and shivering in the grey dawn, feeling very small and very dark in all this endless space. This endless grey-white space. She and Hannah, a brown-skinned, black-haired maid who had been traveling with her for several days, went inside the keep. A large grey-white woman with icy grey-golden hair was standing by a hearth in one of the rooms. She stared at Barenziah with dreadful, bright blue eyes. "She's very black, isn't she?" the woman remarked to Hannah. "I've never seen a dark elf before." "I don't know much about them myself, milady," Hannah said, "but this one's got red hair and a temper to match, I can tell you that. Take care, she bites, and worse." "I'll soon train her out of that," the other woman sniffed. "And what's that filthy thing she's got? Ugh!" The woman snatched Wuffen away and threw him into the blazing hearth. Barenziah shrieked and would have flung herself after him, but was held back despite her attempts to bite and claw at her captors. Poor Wuffen was reduced to a tiny heap of charred ash. Barenziah grew like a weed transplanted to a Skyrim garden, a ward of Count Sven and his wife, the Lady Inga. Outwardly, that is, she thrived, but always there was a cold and empty place within. "I've raised her as my own daughter," Lady Inga was wont to sigh as she sat gossiping when neighboring ladies came to visit. "But she's a dark elf. What can you expect?" Barenziah was not meant to overhear these words. At least she thought she was not. Her hearing was keener than that of her Nordic hosts. Other, less desirable dark elven traits evidently included pilfering, lying, and a little misplaced magic. Just a small fire spell here and a little levitation spell there. And as she grew older, a keen interest in boys and men, who could provide very pleasant sensations, and to her astonishment, gifts as well. Inga disapproved of this last for reasons incomprehensible to Barenziah, so she was careful to keep it as secret as possible. "She's wonderful with the children," Inga added, referring to her 5 sons, all younger than Barenziah. "I don't think she'd ever let them come to harm." A tutor had been hired when Johnny was 6 and Barenziah 8, and they took their lessons together. She would have liked to train in arms as well, but the very idea scandalized Count Sven and Lady Inga, so Barenziah was given a small bow and allowed to play at target shooting with the boys. She watched them at arms practice when she could, spared them when no grown-up folk were about, and knew she was as good or better as they. "She's very proud, though, isn't she?" one of the ladies would whisper to Inga, and Barenziah, pretending not to hear, would nod silently in agreement. She could not help but feel superior to the Count and his lady. There was something about them that provoked contempt. Afterwards, she came to learn that Sven and Inga were distant cousins of Darkmoor Keep's last titled residents, and she finally understood. They were posers, impostors, not rulers at all. At least they were not raised to rule. This thought made her strangely furious at them, a good clean hatred quite detached from resentment. She came to see them as disgusting and repellent insects who could be despised but never feared. Once a month, a courier came from the Emperor bringing a small bag of gold for Sven and Inga, and a large bag of dried mushrooms from Morrowind for Barenziah, her favorite treat. Really, I've never heard of anybody liking dried mushrooms as a treat before. On these occasions, she was always made to look presentable, or at least as presentable as a skinny dark elf could be made to look in Inga's eyes, before being summoned into the courier's presence for a brief interview. The same courier seldom came twice, but all of them looked her over in much the same way a farmer would look over a hog he is readying for market. In the spring of her 16th year, Barenziah thought the courier looked as if she were at last ready for market. Upon reflection, she decided she did not wish to be marketed. The stable boy, Straw, a big, muscular, blond lad, clumsy, gentle, affectionate, and rather simple, had been urging her to run off for some weeks now. Barenziah stole the bag of gold the courier had left, took the mushrooms from the storeroom, disguised herself as a boy in one of Johnny's old tunics and a pair of his cast-off breeches, and on one fine spring night she and Straw took the two best horses from the stable and rode hard through the night towards Whiterun, the nearest city of any importance and the place where Straw wanted to be. But Mournhold and Morrowind also lay eastward, and they drew Barenziah as a lodestone draws iron. In the morning they abandoned the horses at Barenziah's insistence. She knew they would be missed and tracked down, and she hoped to throw off any pursuers. They continued on foot until late afternoon, keeping to side roads, and slept for several hours in an abandoned hut. They went on at dusk and came to Whiterun city gates just before dawn. Barenziah had prepared a pass of sorts for Straw, a makeshift document stating an errand to a temple in the city for a local village lord. She herself glided over the wall with the help of a levitation spell. She had reasoned correctly, as it turned out, that by now the gate guards would have been alerted to keep an eye out for a young dark elven girl and a Nordic boy traveling together. On the other hand, unaccompanied country yokels like Straw were a common enough sight. Alone and with papers, it was unlikely he would draw attention. Her simple plan went smoothly. She met Straw at the temple, which was not far from the gate. She had been to Whiterun on a few previous occasions. Straw, however, had never been more than a few miles from Sven's estate, which was his birthplace. I've been to Whiterun before. When I was younger, of course. Way younger. Together they made their way to a rundown inn in the poorer quarters of Whiterun. Gloved, cloaked, and hooded against the morning chill, Barenziah's dark skin and red eyes were not apparent, and no one paid any heed to them. They entered the inn separately. Straw paid the innkeeper for a single cubicle, an immense meal, and 2 jugs of ale. Barenziah sneaked in a few minutes later. They ate and drank together gleefully, rejoicing in their escape, and made love vigorously on the narrow cot. Afterward they fell into an exhausted, dreamless sleep. So the first person she sleeps with is a Nord male. Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you, I know from experience that if this Nord and she was caught, obviously her captors were being paid to raise her, but the Nord would be killed. He wouldn't have lived. I'm pretty sure that's what my father would have done. They stayed for a week at Whiterun. Straw earned a bit of money running errands, and Barenziah burgled a few houses at night. She continued to dress as a boy. She cut her hair short and dyed her flame-red tresses jet black to further the disguise, and kept out of sight as much as possible. There were few dark elves in Whiterun. True. In fact, I don't even remember seeing any when I was there, but it's not like I was really on the lookout for them. One day, Straw got them work as temporary guards for a merchant caravan traveling east. The one-armed sergeant looked her over dubiously. Heh, he chuckled. Dark elf, ain't ya? Like setting a wolf to guard the sheep, that is. Still, I need arms, and we ain't going near enough Morrowind so ye can betray us to your folk. Our homegrown bandits would as fain cut your throat as mine. The sergeant turned to give Straw an appraising look, then he spun back abruptly towards Barenziah, whipping out his short sword. but she had her dagger in the twinkling of an eye and was in a defensive stance. Straw drew his own knife and circled around to the man's rear. The sergeant dropped his blade and chuckled again. "Not bad, kids, not bad. How are ye with yon bow, Dark Elf?" Barenziah demonstrated her prowess briefly. "Aye, not bad, tall. And you'll be keen of eye by night, boy, and of hearing tall times. A trusty Dark Elf makes as good a fighting man as any could ask for. I know, I served under Symmachus, his self afore. I lost this arm and got invalidated outer the Emperor's armor. We could betray them. I know folk who'll pay well," Straw said later as they bedded down for the last night at the ramshackle lodge. "Or rob them ourselves. They're very rich, those merchants are, Barry." Barenziah laughed. "Whatever we would do with so much money, and besides, we need their protection for traveling quite as much as they need ours. We could buy a little farm, you and me, Barry, and settle down all nice-like." "Peasant," Barenziah thought scornfully. Straw was a peasant and harbored nothing but peasant dreams, but all she said was, "Not here, Straw. We're too close to Darkmoor still. We'll have other chances further east." The caravan went only as far east as Sungard. The Emperor Tiber Septim I had done much in the way of building relatively safe and regularly patrolled highways, but the tolls were steep, and this particular caravan kept to the side roads as much as possible to avoid them. This exposed them to the hazards of wayside robbers, both human and orcish. Ugh. Of course there's orcs out there robbing them. People. And roving brigand bands of various races, but such were the perils of trade and profit. They had two such encounters before reaching Sungard. I don't even know where Sungard is. I've never heard of this place. An ambush which Barenziah's keen ears warned them of in plenty of time for them to circle about and surprise the lurkers, and a night attack by a mixed band of Khajiit, humans and wood elves. The latter were a skilled band, and even Barenziah did not hear them sneaking up in time to give much warning. This time the fighting was fierce. The attackers were driven off, but two of the caravan's other guards were slain, and Straw got a nasty cut on his thigh before he and Barenziah managed to gash his Khajiit assailant's throat. Barenziah rather enjoyed the life. The garrulous sergeant had taken a liking to her, and she spent most of her evenings sitting around the campfire, listening to his tales of campaigning in Morrowind with Tiber Septim and General Symmachus. This Symmachus had been made general after Mournhold fell, the sergeant said. "He's a fine soldier, boy, Symmachus is, but there was more in soldierly involved in that Morrowind business, if you take my meaning. But, well, you know all about that, I expect." No, I don't remember," Barenziah said, trying to sound nonchalant. "I lived most of my life in Skyrim. My mother married a Skyrim man. They're both dead, though. Tell me, what happened to the Lord and Lady of Mournhold?" The sergeant shrugged. "I ain't never heard. Dead, I expect. 'Twas a lot of fighting afore the armistice got signed. It's pretty quiet now, maybe too quiet, like a calm afore a storm. Say, boy, you going back there?" "Maybe," Barenziah said. The truth was that she was drawn irresistibly to Morrowind and Mournhold, like a moth to a burning house. Straw sensed it and was unhappy about it. He was unhappy anyway, since they could not bed together, as she was supposed to be a boy. Barenziah rather missed it too, but not as much as Straw did, seemingly. The sergeant wanted them to sign on for the return trip, but gave them a bonus nonetheless when they turned the offer down, and parchments of recommendation. Straw wanted to settle down permanently near Sungard, but Barenziah insisted on continuing their travels east. "I'm the queen of Mournhold by rights," she said, unsure whether it was true, or was it just a daydream she had made up as a lost, bewildered child. "I want to go home. I need to go home." That at least was true. After a few weeks, they managed to get places in another caravan heading east. By early winter, they were at Riften and nearing the Morrowind border. But the weather had grown severe as the days passed, and they were told no merchant caravans would be setting forth till mid-spring. Barenziah stood on top of the city walls and stared across the deep gorge that separated Riften. I don't know why they spell it with an O. Maybe that's the old way. It's E-N. From the snow-clad mountain wall guarding Morrowind beyond. "Barry," Straw said gently. Mournhold, it's funny that he calls her that. "Mournhold's a long way off yet, nearly as far as we've come already, and the lands between are wild, full of wolves, and bandits, and orcs, and still worse, creatures. We'll have to wait for spring." There's Silgrad Tower, Barry said, referring to the dark elven township that had grown up around an ancient minaret guarding the border between Skyrim and Morrowind. The bridge guards won't let me cross, Barry. They're crack Imperial troops. They can't be bribed. If you go alone. I won't try and stop you. But what will you do? Silgrad Tower is full of Imperial soldiers. Will you become a washerwoman for them, or a camp follower? No, Barenziah said slowly, thoughtfully. Actually, the idea was not entirely unappealing. She was sure she could earn a modest living by sleeping with the soldiers. Really? This woman is very loose, isn't she? Loose with her morals. She'd had a few adventures of that sort as they crossed Skyrim. When she dressed as a woman and slipped away from Straw, she'd only been looking for a bit of variety. Straw was sweet but dull. She'd been startled but extremely pleased when the man she picked up offered her money afterward. She's a prostitute now. Straw had been unhappy about it, though, and would shout for a while, then sulk for days afterward if he caught her at it. He was quite jealous. He'd even threatened to leave her. Not that he ever did, or could. But the Imperial Guards were a tough and brutal lot by all accounts, and Barenziah had heard some very ugly stories during their treks. The ugliest of them, by far, had come from the lips of ex-army veterans around the caravan campfire, and were proudly recounted. They'd been trying to shock her and Straw, she realized, but she also comprehended that there was some truth behind the wild tales. Straw hated that kind of dirty talk, and hated it more that she had to hear it. But there was a part of him that was fascinated nevertheless. Barenziah sensed this and had encouraged Straw to seek out other women, but he said he didn't want anyone else but her. She told him candidly she didn't feel that way about him, but she did like him better than anyone else. Then why do you go with other men? Straw had asked on one occasion. I don't know. Straw sighed. They say dark elven women are like that. Barenziah smiled and shrugged. I don't know, or no, maybe I do. Yes, I do know. She turned and kissed him affectionately. I guess that's all the explanation there is. Yeah, I wonder if that's even real. I mean, it just seems more like a book, like the Lusty Argonian Maid to me. But anyways, I've read enough. Yes, Wolfgang, I'm going to go to sleep. Time for a good rest. And I'll sleep till, I suppose, Magnus comes over the horizon. Time to wake up. Okay, well, I guess I should don my armor, and we'll go pick up my two companions, and we'll take the Mage's Guild teleportation ring to Skingrad, and I'll meet Sindarian down there.
What do you think? Does that new arena combat take?
Still waking up. But this is Sindarian's cellar. There it is.
You have the next batch of Nirnroot yet?
Yes.
Words fail me at this point. There must be no stone unturned in all Cyrodiil. I don't know what else to say but to thank you. I'm afraid that this version of the Elixir of Exploration will be the last. I've wrung every bit of information from my research that I can. Since you seem so adept at finding the elusive Nirnroot, if you wish to bring me more, I'd be more than happy to compensate you. Again, I thank you for doing my fieldwork. I look forward to getting more Nirnroot from you. And yes, in 24 hours, I'll have the elixir ready.
I did have one more Nirnroot, but you know what? I'm going to start to experiment with it myself. What can I do here? I haven't even tried using it. The only thing I would seem to be able to get is a Drain Health potion. But it's the first time I've used Nirnroot. 24 hours, huh? Well, I just have to come by whenever I can. Not going to make it a priority. Alright, so my horse, Prophet, should be here. There he is. Time to mount up.
Why are you looking at me like that?
Fergus should be here. Where'd he go? Oh well. We're not going to wait for him. I'll just summon him whenever I need him. We go south, southwest, right? Yeah, so... to the Priory. To the Priory we go. Wow, isn't that
Pleasant weather.
picturesque and idyllic? There's a set of stairs. So this is an old Aelid ruin along the border. Was it to... well, I would say Valenwood. There's a waterfall down there. So I was wondering... wait, so it's not marked on my map, which means I have not been here. I mean, it's very large. I could perhaps come here. Once I've done a lot of the work I'm going to be... that's needed to do, as my priority, I will be searching for Umbacano's little old relics, Aelid stones or statues. Oh, hello. Looks like he could be with the Mages Guild, like a battle mage.
Greetings, Breton.
Hello.
I hope I can help.
Have you heard any good rumors lately?
The Mages Guild runs more or less like it always did, but we lost quite a few members when the practice of necromancy was banned.
Yes, I've heard this quite a lot. So I
Farewell.
take that there's a dig going on here. Some study. Perhaps when I become a full Mages Guild member, I'll hear more about it. So, I must say that was a necromantic symbol if I didn't know better. So I want to mark this on my map, so I have to get closer to where the spot is. Interesting statue. Very interesting.
Greetings. What shall we talk about?
Well, there's the stairs going down.
Maybe we
Silorn
should just take the day
is
off.
the name of it. I'd like to take the day off, but I'm so driven I don't. I really want to. I'm very interested to know what the Knights of the Nine will say about the remaining artifacts. So there's greaves, right, that I have to pick up? That's the last piece that I'm aware of. Unless there's like a sword as well. There's a mace, I have a mace. And a shield, and every other part but the greaves. Boots, gauntlets, the cuirass. It's actually not that unpleasant out in these woods. Although the woods are thicker where I come from. Okay.
Sir Knight, thank Arke you're back.
So you made it.
I have terrible news. Sir Roderick, I think he's dead.
Sir Roderick is dead? Who's that?
My master. We met you on the Pilgrim's Way. Back then I thought for sure the gods had chosen him for a holy purpose.
What happened?
At first things were going well. He prayed at all the shrines and received a vision, a disturbing vision. The shade of Sir Beric spoke to me was all he said. We must put him to rest. We traveled back and forth across Colovia. He was always asking about an old noble family, the Vlindrels. Finally, he found what he was looking for. We went to Underpall Cave, and there he fell.
What was Sir Roderick looking for?
He said that Sir Beric's tomb was in Underpall Cave. which is no cave, but some kind of buried keep. He had
Buried
learned
keep.
that Sir Beric had once been a questing knight, like us. He had found the greaves and sword of the Crusader, but then turned to evil. Sir Roderick hoped to find the relics within Sir Beric's tomb, and he did. But we also found a terrible guardian, the wraith of Lord Vlindrel, Sir Beric.
You know where the relics are?
Yes, my lord, and I brought you. Sir Roderick shouted for me to take them. The greaves, the holy relic, they're yours.
Okay. And the sword, what happened to it?
The wraith. It used it against Sir Roderick. I don't know how that evil thing could use the holy weapon, but it did. It screamed as it struck.
Take it easy, you're safe now.
I'm sorry. I remember Sir Roderick saying something about the sword before we went to Underpull. It may be important. He was worried that the sword may have been turned to evil, that it may have to be reconsecrated on the altar of its creator, the divine Arche. That's all I remember. I hope it may help you.
Okay, you did well, Latham.
Thank you, Sir Knight. I would ask a boon if I could, although I know I do not deserve it. Would you make me a Knight of the Nine? I want to dedicate myself to ridding the world of evil. I owe it to Sir Roderick.
Well, I suppose I could use all the more help I could get. Rise, Sir Latham.
Thank you. Thank you, Sir Knight. I will not fail you. Give me a moment to arm myself, and I will accompany you to Underpaw Cave to destroy the foul wraith.
They say that when you murder someone,
Who's
the Dark
that?
Brotherhood comes to you in your sleep.
There's more than
It's
just
how
him
they
here.
recruit
Who are these
new
people?
members.
Hey.
I think I,
had
need something
no
to
idea.
drink.
Oh,
Without
Erelder.
question.
I find myself here, at your disposal. I want to make up for the mistakes I've made and devote myself fully to the faith.
All right,
If
then.
it pleases you, I would join your order and serve the Nine at your side. What say you?
Fine. The more, the better. I accept. Welcome to the Order.
Thank you. It means a great deal to me. Excuse me while I gather the equipment I need.
It would be nice if
Hi
I could
there.
help to use this,
What's the latest?
or use this order
They
to help
say that
fight
when you murder someone,
Maroon's Dagon.
the Dark Brotherhood
Wait,
comes.
hello?
We meet again. I am here to join your order,
I don't remember
having
you.
received a divine vision from Kinnereth herself. I have been shown that to protect all
Oh,
Kinnereth's
yes, I do.
creations, I must take up your cause and be willing to lay down my life for you.
I remember, you're the priest from the
So
Shrine
here
of
I
Kinnereth.
am. I have no doubt that our good works will be talked of in the eras to come.
Yes, I was searching for you after I had picked up the boots. But you weren't around, so I guess you came down here. Which is odd. Okay, I accept. Welcome to the Order.
Thank you. I shall serve the Order to the best of my ability. I must change into something that suits a knight. Please excuse me.
Yes, it would be very nice. The table's now set. It would be very nice if all the people that are joining would help fight against Maroon's Dagon. Oh, wow, this place is set up. It's like been redone for everyone to come sleep here. Wow. We are creating a new, or recreating the order, the old order. All that was left were spirits before my input. Hello? Nice to see you, Sir Latham.
Yes, Commander?
I am at your command, Sir Knight.
Just wait here.
I'll stay on guard until you return.
You don't need to come
Hail,
with me
Commander.
to kill the Wraith. Hello?
Fergus, could you please teach me how to whistle? I try and I try, but it
We have a
just
smith?
doesn't
Good to
seem
see you.
work.
Where are these people coming from? Yeah, Fergus is probably the best whistler among the three of us. Hello?
Sergius Terrianus, at your service. Thedret and I go way back, and he said there was need of a blacksmith here. It'd be an honor to provide what service I can. So, you need anything repaired, you come see me.
I repair my own armor, thank you. Heard any good rumors lately?
Well, it's no problem traveling from the Imperial City to Leowin. If you're a wizard and can walk on water. I'd stay off the roads, though.
No, the roads are fine. You might run into the occasional Khajiit.
Be seeing you.
Or, what's the other beast race? Argonian. Who will try to rob you, but, yeah, you should be okay. Maybe if you're not a warrior. If you can't defend yourself, then it's probably not a good idea. Now, who are these people?
Well
Like
met, Sir
Nords.
Knight.
Hello?
Hail, Sir Knight. My brother and I have heard that you are founding a holy order of knights, and we would like to offer you our swords. We've come all the way from Skyrim to join up. We can't claim any experience as knights, but we learn soldiering from our years in the Legion.
Oh, that sounds good to me.
Will you have us?
The only issue I would have is some of these people could be part of Mythic Dawn. But I don't think that they're interested in something that was created to fight Umaril. So, accept. Welcome to the Order.
You won't regret it, sir. You'll find us true-hearted and brave. I'll be back as soon as I've outfitted myself.
I guess where one goes, one brother goes, the other brother goes too. Oh, this is working out. I need to go down and speak to the spirits now. Hello.
Greetings, Sir Knight.
Mace of Zenithar. I have the mace.
You've passed Zenithar's challenge and redeemed Sir Ralvis. Oh, congratulations. Sir Junkin will be pleased to hear this.
What is this about Sir Beric?
It seems that he fell further into evil than even I had feared.
I have no doubt that it all began on the day that he left the Order with the sword and greaves. Sir Caius tried to stop him. They fought, and Sir Beric slew Sir Caius with the holy sword on the Priory steps. That was the end of the old order. Many of Sir Beric's friends left with him. I tried to hold the rest together, but it was no use. If you destroy the wraith that Sir Beric has become, you will be doing him a service. You must free him from the evil that has ensnared him.
Okay.
Go with virtue.
I guess I have to speak to all of them. I don't know which one gave me the quests here. Hello?
I am at your service, Commander.
What can you tell me about Sir Beric?
Alas, that the evil begun on the day of my death should have struck so deep. When Sir Beric said he would take his relics with him to war, and would not listen to Sir Amil's pleas, I allowed my anger to get the best of me. Know that I was the one who drew weapon first against Sir Beric. He merely defended himself and proved the better swordsman. And now, because of me, evil has claimed his very soul.
So bloody
Walk
serious
with
for
the
something that
knife,
happened
sir.
in their lifetime. That they're now dead.
Strange.
They should see things differently, I would think. But maybe that's part of what makes them stay here. They are as they were in life.
How may I serve you, Commander?
I have the boots of the Crusader.
You are an asset to your order. You have claimed the boots, and for this I am grateful.
Okay, so I have the Mace of Zenithar as well.
So it was the boots that Sir Ralvis needed to complete his quest. What a fool I was to refuse to help him. I will carry this regret for all time.
Oh, yes. If you're the one that got the boots. What can you tell me about the Knights of the Nine?
The wars of men undermine the service of the Nine. Do not follow in our mistakes.
Okay.
Walk with the Nine, Sir Knight.
Hello?
Greetings, Sir Knight.
You're short in order, aren't you? What can you tell me about the Knights of the Nine?
Complacency proved to be our greatest enemy. The service of the Nine requires eternal vigilance.
All right.
May your sword strike true.
Hello?
Greetings, Sir Knight.
What can you tell me about the Knights of the Nine?
Though we went our separate ways when the Order fell, we all served the Nine in our hearts. All but one.
Sir Barrick. Goodbye.
Go with virtue.
How may I serve you, Commander?
I have the Mace of Zenithar.
You've retrieved the mace! I can't believe it! Sir Knight, I bend my knee in awe at your wisdom. You deserve to carry a mace.
What can you tell me about the Knights of the Nine?
Our greed for the relics overshadowed our faith in the Nine. I can only hope that you are stronger than we were.
Goodbye.
Go with virtue.
Hello?
Greetings, Sir Knight.
What can you tell me about the Knights of the Nine?
We had only the best of intentions. Truly we did. We meant only to serve the Nine and the Empire. It's hard to believe it all went so wrong.
Well, you guys turned on each
May
other.
the Nine guide your way.
I didn't speak to you, did I?
How may I serve you, Commander?
What can you tell me about the Knights of the Nine?
In matters of faith, one cannot be bogged down in the affairs of this world. Learn from us. Cast aside your treasures and serve the Nine.
Goodbye.
Go with virtue.
One day when we're finished here,
Whoa.
maybe you could come with me to Morrowind. I'm sure you would love it.
Maybe, Vilya. When we're done here.
Greetings, Sir Knight.
Greetings, Sir Thedret. You just stay here. I'll deal with that wraith.
Hail, Commander.
Commander.
Hello.
Greetings, Sir Knight.
What do you know about Umaril?
Leowyn has been attacked by Umaril's minions. Something must be done to stop him.
Yes, I'd say so. And the Boots of the Crusader, that was nearby your shrine.
I am pleased to see that you have them. It is said that the wearer has the blessing of Kinnereth upon him, and will not come to harm from creatures of the forest.
Oh, really? Interesting. What can you tell me about the Knights of the Nine?
The Priory has been restored to its former glory, and is now a fitting home for our order.
I see you guys have been doing work on it. Goodbye.
Take care.
Yes, Commander.
Sir Caradus.
A knight is only as good as his blade. A bit more practice never hurt anyone.
What can you tell me about the Knights of the Nine?
It is an honor to serve under you, Crusader.
Goodbye.
You too.
Well... Oh, they're even in the chapel.
Commander.
Okay, I don't think I've met
Hail,
you.
Commander.
Hello. Oh. No, I don't.
How may I serve you, Commander?
Okay, no, you're that Nord. That's right.
Take care.
Take care. Nice, I can put my horse Prophet right in here from now on. Oh, they have restored it. It's actually kind of pleasant here. Alright, so... Lathan, the young squire of Sir Roderick, arrived at the Priory with a tragic tale. It seems that his master perished while attempting to defeat the dreadful undead guardian of the Sword of the Crusader. Lathan was able to escape with the greaves of the Crusader, which he surrendered to me. I need to go to Under Paul Cave, where Sir Roderick fell, and reclaim the Sword of the Crusader for the Nine. Where would that be? Oh, okay, between Coral and Bruma. Under Paul Cave. I do believe I passed by there before. Well, that's quite the trip from here. I think I could go to Frostcrag Tower and then go to Bruma from there. And Frostcrag Tower and then go to Coral, then transport to Bruma. And so my horse will be in the stables, and then we can just ride from there to Under Paul Cave. Sounds like a good plan. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.